Another day that we are here to learn something new about our heritage. And today our focus point is on the African Big Five. The term Big Five is a term that was made up by the game hunters years ago. It's not about the size of the animals, as many of the people might tend to think. It was about the 5 most dangerous animals to bring down. Remember years ago in the 50s, 60s, when game hunting was a big sport? Everybody did it on foot. You had to track these animals on foot. And if you missed them, they came after you. They were very dangerous. So it was about the challenge involved. So the term Big Five is all about the difficulties, the risk you had to take to bring one of these animals down. And this morning, I would like us to focus on one of them that is supposed to be the meanest animal in Africa. This is the Cape buffalo. Buffaloes are very mean, and this is an animal that will never give you a smile. They always carry a lot of anger, especially the loners who have been kicked out by younger boys. As they grow with age, you become weaker and you get kicked out. So they lose all the mating rights and the dominance they have enjoyed for years. So they carry with them a lot of anger as they go grazing. Sometimes they group together. You might find 5, maybe even 10 boys together, just trying to console each other that we are in this together. We were together when we were young, when we were having all the fun. But now, if we want to live longer, we have to stick together and try to protect each other. It was one morning in Nakuru National Park, which is in the plains of the Great Rift Valley. This is west of Nairobi, about 2.5 hours drive. And we were staying at this lodge called Lake Nakuru Lodge, which is up on the hill on the southern edge, and it overlooks the lake on the western side. And we had a nice morning that day. I had a couple, a husband and wife, and they were photographers. We lucked out because we found a very nice semi-tame black rhino with a baby. And we spent our morning with the baby rhino and mommy. And as we were shooting them with good sun in the morning, behind us there was this Cape buffalo that was alone. I looked at him, I used my binoculars, I zoomed in, and he didn't look like he was in good shape. He looked very unhealthy. He was skinny and weak. He didn't look like it was a nice subject to shoot. But I pointed that out to my guests. I said, oh, behind there, close to the bush, we have this one lone buffalo. And they said, oh, leave the buffalo alone. Let's focus on the rhino with the baby. So as we were shooting, the rhinos, we had parked the car like this, and the rhinos were on the right side. And they were playing with mommy, the baby would nurse, and the mommy would move around. It is not easy. Most of the time, the black rhinos are browsers. So most of the time you find them in the bushes. So this was a good opportunity that they were out in the open and you could shoot them without any obstruction. As we were doing that and enjoying that rhino moment, something told me to look back on the left side on the side where the buffalo was. And when I turned my head to look at that side, the buffalo that we thought was weak and unphotogenic, he was on his heels, full speed, coming towards the car. He was really coming for us. There was no time for me to switch on the engine and to move away. All I did was scream. I said, "What?" The guest didn't know what I was doing. And on the door, on the co-driver's door, next to me, there was the loudest bang ever. It was like that. It was like, "Pah!" My guests just collapsed inside. Luckily enough, they were not thrown out of the car. They collapsed inside the Jeep with their camera gears. And for a few seconds, this buffalo head stuck. The horns stuck on the door. And it was like an earthquake. Because he shook the car like as he was trying to unhook himself. Finally, he was able to unhook himself. He walked back a few feet. He looked back at us and kept moving. I think he was not happy that we never took even a single photo of him. And into the bush, he disappeared. My guests said, "I think we have had enough of this morning. The rhinos were good, and I think we need to get back to the camp now." Because they wanted to go check the tires. We drove back to the camp, to the lodge, Lake Nakuru Lodge. They went to the rooms and they checked the tires. We met for lunch. We agreed to leave at 3:30 in that afternoon. As we were leaving and we are climbing down this steep road towards the lake, I stopped because I saw a stampede of buffaloes, like 5 miles away. They were all running towards the left. And I focused on my binoculars. I looked and I saw that they were chasing this young man. There was a man that was running as fast as he could. I didn't waste time because this was a matter of life and death. I put the pedal to the metal. I just put the pedal into the engine room. We have speed limit in our parks, but to save this man, I didn't respect that. I zoomed as fast as I could. I told my guests to sit down on their seats, and we drove so fast. We got to this place and we looked away, and these buffaloes are still on the hills. They are chasing this guy. They are just behind this guy, chasing him. And the guy is now coming towards us. He is like a kilometer away. He is still running. Remember, Kenyans, we are good runners. We can run forever. We are like the hyenas. We have endurance. So this guy was coming, and I had to drive off the road. Again, I did bend the rules there. I didn't break the rules. I just bent the rules a little bit, and I drove off the road, and I just drove towards this guy. The guy is coming towards me. The buffaloes are almost catching up with this guy. So I turned the car very quickly like this. I opened the co-driver's door, and this guy just dove inside. He almost threw me out of my door because he came straight in. He left the door open. My guest at the back, he reached for the door and closed the door behind this guy. The buffaloes were right there, puffing and making a lot of noise. They were surrounding the car. They were like, where did this guy go? Fortunately enough, and this is a good information for you to know, the safest place for you to be while you are in a national park or a game reserve the safest place is inside your car or inside your tent or inside your lodge room. So when you're driving around there and you have problems, you have a breakdown, if you do not want to kick the bucket, stay in the car. Do not move around. So this guy was inside, the buffaloes were outside there, and they're asking, what happened? Did this guy evaporate? We can't find him. This is an enemy. They wanted to kill this guy. What this guy had done, we didn't know at that time. So we drove back towards the road. I could not believe the bumps that were between where we were and the road. Coming there, I never felt those bumps. But getting back to the road, oh, it was a real washboard road. It was like this. One bump after another. And we drove slowly, all the way to the road. When we were safe on the road, I asked this guy, my friend, what is your name? And he told me his name was Joshua. I said, Joshua, why are you trying to commit suicide? Are you fed up? Don't you have a family and kids that you want to see grow and prosper in life? What happened? This guy said, were those buffaloes serious? Do you mean I would have been killed by those buffaloes? I told him, my friend, you are joking. You don't know how lucky you are. You just escaped death by a whisker. Those buffaloes are killers. They kill most people in Africa, like the hippos. Anything moving, they bring down. What happened? Why are you walking in the park? He said, my friend, we were with my friends this morning, and we were driving around the lake. We drove too close to the lake, and somehow our small car sank on the shores of the lake. We've been stuck there since 10 a.m. in the morning, and we have not found help. So when I saw your car coming down that hill over there, he pointed to a hill that is between the lake and the lodge. And that is where he spotted us from. When I saw you coming, I thought you would come because so many cars have been coming. But instead of coming our way, they take a different road and we see them disappear. We just see the dust. So I thought this was my last opportunity because it's almost 4 o'clock. And if darkness finds us here, that could have been the end of us. So that is why I decided to leave my friend in the car and look for help. So I was coming to you so that you can help us tow this car out of the mud. I told him, next time, my friend, you are stuck, you stay there. Somebody will look for you, somebody will find you. And that is why you need some cookies and some water. You need something in the car all the time because you never know what can happen. You might be forced to stay in that car for a day or two. From the look of his eyes, he still didn't buy my explanation. My client, the gentleman with the lady behind, he was pissed off with this guy. He almost gave him a punch on his face because he seemed very ignorant. He knew nothing. He knew nothing about the dangers out there. Anyway, we drove towards the shores of the lake, and finally we found the car that was very much stuck in this mud. I tried driving closer. I had a tow rope. They didn't have a tow rope. I got my tow rope from the trunk. I hooked it in front. I tried to get closer to the car so that we could hook it. But the Jeep is heavy and it was just going down, and I thought both cars will end up stuck here. So I didn't do that. I played safe. I backed up very quickly and I went up to this car. There were two gentlemen and one lady. In total there were 4 plus the guy that we just rescued. And they said, please, everybody come out. We need to push this car out of this mess. So all of us, including my guests, we came out. It was a small car, a sedan car, and we just rolled it out of the mud slowly, all of us. We got a lot of, we got a little bit messy, which was fine. And we pushed this car out of the mud. And I explained to these people how lucky they were that they didn't lose their friend. He must have been the most unsmart out of the four. How did he agree? How did they choose who was to go look for help? I wonder whether they picked or he picked the short straw. That's my story in Lake Nakuru National Park. And it's a true story. Viewers, thank you for watching and keep tuned to this channel. Keep subscribing, sharing and hitting the like button so that these stories can reach many. See you in the next clip. Thank you.